So hello and welcome to another episode of Steven's 4 Wheels. Today you're joining me with my £500 SLK for part 3 of Project SLK. Now you may remember last time I was looking at electrical issues that I'm having. And my basic problem, if you haven't seen the episode, is that my battery is draining after sort of a couple of days of it standing. Now obviously that is an issue because I have to keep jump starting or charging the battery, and that obviously means that there's something under here that is the issue. Now in my last episode I wanted to check to see if it was something obvious like the battery, which I don't think it was. The battery seemed to be charging well and it does seem to be holding voltage, but it's just seems to be somehow it's draining the battery after a couple of days. I also looked at the alternator. You may remember I turned on the lights, I turned on the heater and put them on full blast, and the battery was still charging at a good voltage even with some other stuff on. So today's episode I'm going to see if there's anything coming out of the battery, how much voltage is coming out of the battery, and actually seeing if there's anything around that I can do to hopefully try and solve that. So there's a couple of different tests I'm going to do today to hopefully solve that. So the first step in figuring out what is wrong with this electrical system is there a problem with the battery. Now what I've done here is disconnected the negative cable. I've got my multimeter here, I've set it to 20 M, which is for measuring amps. All I'm going to do is connect the circuit up, complete the circuit. I'm going to put my positive one, which is the red one, onto the wire, and then I'm going to put my black one onto the little stub on the battery. Now it should read hopefully less than 0.5 amps, which is what we want. Any more than that, if it's particularly up to for over 3, then we know we've got a power drain somewhere. If it is under 0.5, then we probably are looking at the battery. Maybe is something wrong with this, and hopefully that should be a simple battery change, and that should be end of our issues. What I'm going to do, make sure they don't touch, is just connect up that, and that is a good sign there. That is less than 0.5, so we're looking at 0.42. That is a really good sign, because anything less than 0.5 means that the battery isn't putting out too much. So that probably means that it's a battery issue. If the battery is running out after a couple of days, it's got to be a battery issue. There's no reason that there's no power coming out of the car, so there's no reason that it should be. Now, as I've already mentioned, that there will be things like the alarm that draws power. There will be things like the stereo that might draw a little bit of power as well. So hopefully it's actually a battery issue, which is fairly easy to get changed. I was a little bit worried. Now the next step would have been to take all the fuses out. A two-person job that would be. You'd have to leave this on here. If it was like 3 or something, you'd have to measure it out, and then you'd have to go around to the fuse box on the engine bay, which is over just in the far corner, above where the washer bottle fluid is there. Notice you open the door. If you open that up, there's a fuse board in there as well, and all you do is you just have this all connected up, and then you just take out each fuse individually, and hopefully one of them should actually drop, and hopefully you'll see that it goes back down to less than 0.5. So hopefully this car doesn't have a power drain. It actually is just a battery issue. Now the battery is only 3 and a bit years old. It's slightly worrying. I don't know how well this battery's been looked after. I don't know whether it's been let to go flat many times or not really been used. So it might just be the battery hasn't really been well looked after. I have noticed this is about the 4th battery this car's had, so it might just be that either it hasn't not very high capacity battery or whatever. I don't know too much about battery health myself. But at least a new battery for one of these is about £80 to £120, depending on what brand and what capacity you go for. So that's quite hopefully a nice cheap fix for me. It will then mean that this car is hopefully then mechanically sound. I was really getting worried that actually it would be something quite serious and there was something electronically wrong in the car, but hopefully that's not the case. So hopefully £80 to £100 should get me another battery, and this car will be good for hopefully another few years. So what else I've been doing to the SLK? Well, as I've already mentioned, I've done a big detail on it. Now I've managed to get quite a few of the scratches and the marks out. Unfortunately, things like the bonnet, they've come up all right, and I will put my before and after shot in and overlay in this video, but it hasn't quite come out as well as I expected. But the paintwork has so much more shine to it and looks so much better, and hopefully we'll see in the shots there, particularly in the sun today, the shine on this paintwork is absolutely amazing. So that's going to be the next thing. Another problem I found with this car is the washer bottle fluid. Basically I went to fill it up last time, checked it in, so I opened it up, put the water in, and it all came flooding out underneath the bottom of the ring down here, which suggests that it's cracked. And actually I've since gone and had a look at the paperwork, and in fact someone has said that it needed replaced. Now I haven't got any evidence to say that it has actually been replaced, so I'm presuming that it isn't, and it's still cracked. Either that was very unlucky and it's cracked again. Okay, so as we've come into the new year now, I've got the bodywork hopefully going to get sorted next few weekends. I've got in touch with a paintwork guy who works at the same Mercedes dealers that I work at. Hopefully he's going to do a weekend, and he's a really good guy, and he's going to do a very good deal for me. Hopefully friends and discounts. I've laid it on nice and thick how many favours I've done for him in the past. So I'm going to put in a few favours, and we've discussed what we're going to be doing, and he's said something really interesting to me. He's actually going to be putting on the edge where all the rust starts bubbling up from. He's actually putting stone chip on there. It sounds a bit odd, but he said part of the problem is a lot on these cars that they get chips, stuff flicking up on the wheels, the paint gets chipped, and that's how the bubbling rust actually starts. And that seems to be the case with this car and quite a bit of it. He's also going to be doing me a massive favour, and he's going to be painting all this silver bit, which is flaking off anyway, and he's going to be taking that back to black, which is how it should be. Originally on these pre-facelift cars, a lot of the trim just down here and also on the bottom of the front and the rear bumper sort of matched how the door handle is here. It was actually black plastic. I'm not sure why that was, but it gives it quite a distinctive look, and that's the one thing I want to take this car back to, that sort of original look, and try and keep it sort of OEM as much as possible. So I've been quite busy trying to get this car ready for car shows. Hopefully my first car show, Weather Dependent, will be next month, mid-February. Just a little breakfast meet, but I thought it'd be a good way to sort of introduce this car to the world, and also hopefully a few of my Mercedes friends will be going along to that as well. Okay, so thank you for watching this episode of Stephen's Four Wheels. I'm glad to say that this is just a battery issue on this car. It's always one of those things when you buy a car, you're never quite too sure what's going to happen, what's going to go wrong with it, and you're still learning about this car. So thankfully it's sorted, it's a battery issue. I'm going to get a new battery organised. So I just want to say a big thank you for watching. If you like this episode and you like the series of Project SLK, make sure to hit that like button. If you have any questions, any issues, anything you want to chat to me about, put them into the comments. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, so you can always chat to me on there as well. Make sure to hit that subscribe button as well if you want to see more of the SLK, more of my other SLK, and more of the B-Class as well. So it's goodbye from me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. So for those of you regular with the channel, you will know my car washing assistant, Mr. Buddy here, often helps me by generally getting in the way, and he also turned trainee mechanic on the last video as well. He wants to let everyone know that you should be subscribing to the channel. As you know, I'm getting a lot of watches from this particular car as well, a lot of views. And he wanted everyone to make sure you subscribe to the channel as well, because he thinks he's very cute and he wants more people to watch him as well. You can say hello, buddy. And this is Charlie. Good boy. Little Charlie.